Alex Pereira is one of the most feared strikers in UFC history. A former kickboxing world champion turned dominant UFC fighter, his rise to the top is nothing short of inspiring. But before he was knocking out legends inside the octagon, Pereira had to fight his way out of poverty, battle personal demons, and carve his own path in combat sports. This is the incredible story of Alex Poatan Pereira. Alex Pereira was born on July 7, 1987, in São Bernardo do Campo, Brazil. Coming from a humble background, Pereira faced hardships from an early age. His family struggled financially, and like many young kids growing up in the favelas of Brazil, life was tough. At a young age, he dropped out of school and started working to support his family. Eventually, he found himself working as a bricklayer and later in a tire shop. But this tough lifestyle led him down a dark path. By the time he was a teenager, Pereira was battling alcohol addiction. His life took a drastic turn when he discovered kickboxing. In 2009, he joined a local gym to escape his destructive lifestyle, and from the moment he threw his first punch, it was clear he had something special. His power, precision, and natural aggression made him a force to be reckoned with. In 2009, Pereira walked into a kickboxing gym, desperate to change his life. The discipline and structure of martial arts gave him a new purpose, and his natural talent was undeniable. Within just a few years, he became one of the most dangerous strikers in the sport. Pereira's aggressive, power-heavy style made him a knockout artist. His nickname, Poatan, which means stone hands in the Tupi-Guarani language, perfectly described his devastating punching power. Pereira quickly climbed the ranks in Glory Kickboxing, the world's premier kickboxing organization. He won his first major title in 2017 when he knocked out Simon Marcus to claim the Glory Middleweight Championship. But his most famous moment in kickboxing came against a future UFC rival, Israel Adesanya. In 2016, Pereira faced Adesanya for the first time and won a controversial decision. A year later, in their rematch, Pereira knocked Adesanya out cold with a brutal left hook, handing him his only knockout loss in combat sports at the time. By 2019, Pereira had cemented his legacy in kickboxing, becoming a two-division Glory champion at middleweight and light heavyweight. But he wanted a new challenge, MMA. Pereira made his professional MMA debut in 2015 against Poatan in Jungle Fight, a Brazilian promotion. While Pereira was already a devastating striker, his lack of ground game was exposed. Poatan survived Pereira's striking and submitted him via rear naked choke in the third round. It was a tough start, but Pereira wasn't done. After focusing on kickboxing for years, Pereira returned to MMA in 2020, fighting in LFA, Legacy Fighting Alliance, a well-known feeder organization for the UFC. This time, his striking was on full display. Pereira knocked out Thomas Powell in the first round with a brutal right hand, sending shockwaves through the MMA world. The UFC took notice, and soon, Pereira was on his way to the biggest stage in MMA. In 2020, Pereira signed with the UFC, and the hype around him was massive. Pereira made his long-awaited UFC debut at UFC 268 against Andreas Michailidis. Many were curious, could Pereira handle the transition to elite-level MMA? The first round was slow, with Michailidis attempting takedowns. But in the second round, Pereira landed a flying knee that instantly knocked out Michailidis, marking his arrival in the UFC with a highlight reel finish. Next, Pereira faced Bruno Silva, a tough and experienced striker with knockout power. Pereira faced Bruno Silva in March 2022. This fight showed that Pereira was more than just a knockout artist. He went 3 full rounds, displaying improved cardio, striking accuracy, and takedown defense. He won via unanimous decision, proving he was ready for higher-ranked opponents. This was the fight that put Pereira on the fast track to a title shot. Strickland, known for his pressure and striking, made a fatal mistake. He stood directly in front of Pereira without protecting himself. In the first round, Pereira landed his signature left hook, knocking Strickland out cold. This performance earned him a title shot against his old rival, Israel Adesanya. On November 12, 2022, Pereira faced Adesanya for the UFC middleweight championship. It was a high-stakes fight, with Adesanya looking to avenge his past losses. For most of the fight, Adesanya was winning with his technical striking. But in the final round, Pereira, knowing he was down on the scorecards, unleashed his power. With just minutes left, he landed a brutal left hook, followed by a flurry of punches, securing a dramatic TKO victory. Alex Pereira was now the UFC middleweight champion. Alex Pereira and Israel Adesanya faced off for the second time in MMA at UFC 287 on April 8, 2023. This was a rematch for the UFC middleweight championship, after Pereira had previously defeated Adesanya at UFC 281 to claim the title. The first round was competitive, with both fighters landing significant strikes. Pereira used leg kicks effectively, while Adesanya remained patient. In round 2, Pereira started applying more pressure and landed some heavy shots, appearing to have Adesanya backed against the cage. However, Adesanya capitalized on an opening and landed a devastating right hand, followed by another clean shot that knocked Pereira out cold. Adesanya then finished the fight with ground strikes, reclaiming the UFC middleweight championship. Alex Pereira fought Jan Blachowicz at UFC 291 on July 29, 2023, in a light heavyweight bout. This was Pereira's debut in the division after moving up from middleweight. The fight was a closely contested 3-round battle, with Pereira winning by split decision 29-28, 28-29, 29-28. Blachowicz started strong, securing a takedown early and controlling Pereira on the ground. Pereira defended better and landed effective leg kicks and strikes, turning the momentum in his favor. Pereira continued his striking dominance, while Blachowicz showed signs of fatigue. This win earned Pereira a shot at the vacant UFC light heavyweight championship. The fight was for the vacant light heavyweight title after Jamal Hill vacated it due to injury. Pereira started the fight by focusing on leg kicks, which quickly took a toll on Prochaska's movement. Prochaska, known for his unorthodox striking, attempted to close the distance and pressure Pereira with clinch work and short strikes. He also managed to secure a brief takedown, but Pereira defended well and got back to his feet. As the fight progressed, Pereira continued attacking the legs, slowing Prochaska down. Late in the second round, Pereira landed a perfectly timed left hook that stunned Prochaska. As Prochaska attempted to recover, Pereira followed up with ground and pound, leading referee Mark Goddard to stop the fight at 4:08 of the second round, awarding Pereira the TKO victory. With this win, Alex Pereira became the new UFC light heavyweight champion, making him a two-division champion in the UFC. At UFC 300 on April 13, 2024, reigning UFC light heavyweight champion Alex Pereira faced former titleholder Jamal Hill in a highly anticipated bout. The event took place at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. From the opening bell, both fighters showcased their striking prowess. Midway through the first round, at 3 minutes and 14 seconds, Pereira landed his signature left hook, delivering a knockout blow that ended the fight decisively. This victory marked Pereira's first successful defense of the UFC light heavyweight championship. The bout was notable not only for its outcome but also for its significance in UFC history. Pereira's performance solidified his reputation as a formidable force in the light heavyweight division, and the event contributed to UFC 300 being recognized as the event of the year in 2024. Pereira faced Prochaska second time. The rematch occurred on June 29, 2024, at UFC 303 in Las Vegas. Originally, a bout between Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler was slated to headline the event, but due to McGregor's injury, the Pereira-Prochaska rematch was promoted to the main event. In this fight, Pereira once again defeated Prochaska, delivering a knockout via a head kick just 13 seconds into the second round, successfully defending his light heavyweight championship. These two encounters have solidified Pereira's dominance in the light heavyweight division and have been pivotal moments in both fighters' careers. The UFC hosted two big title fights from Salt Lake City, Utah for UFC 307. The main event was light heavyweight title fight between reigning champion Alex Pereira and rising star Khalil Rountree Jr. The fight marked the third successful title defense for Pereira, who also previously held the UFC middleweight title. Stepping up to face the UFC star was Rountree Jr., who was returning from a brief suspension and looking to prove his worth at the top of the division. The fight went 4 rounds before Pereira stopped Rountree Jr. with a bloody TKO moment. After the fight, he said he'd be happy to move to heavyweight, but was also happy at light heavyweight. Alex Pereira, the reigning UFC light heavyweight champion, is set to defend his title against Magomed Ankalaev at UFC 313 on March 8, 2025, at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Ankalaev, a formidable contender, previously fought for the vacant light heavyweight title against Jan Blachowicz at UFC 282 in December 2022, a bout that concluded in a split draw. He has since secured notable victories, positioning himself for another title opportunity. Despite Pereira's impressive track record, early betting odds have positioned him as an underdog against Ankalaev, likely due to Ankalaev's wrestling prowess. This highly anticipated matchup promises an exciting clash of styles, with Pereira's striking expertise facing off against Ankalaev's grappling skills. What do you think about Alex Pereira's incredible career? Do you think he's one of the best strikers in UFC history? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more MMA content.